Now, continuing our look ahead to Sunday's Extra.ie FAI Cup final against Bohemians, I'm joined by Dermot Looney from History St. Pat's. Dermot, how are you?
Hi, Jamie. How are you keeping? Very excited now ahead of Sunday.
Yes, of course. Away from your History St. Pat's, you're a big St. Pat's fan. We can see for those watching this interview on the YouTube channel, a big St. Pat's flag in your front room window. So all systems go, and I'm sure everyone in your house is very excited for 4 o'clock on Sunday.
All the decorations are up early this year, Jamie. It's brilliant. I have the Christmas lights here working as well as red and white, good colours for this time of year. And look, we can't wait. This is a brilliant day for fans, isn't it? That we're getting a chance to go. Haven't missed so much football over the last while, so I know there's brilliant excitement there amongst fans. But look, this final has a place in history too.
Absolutely. Now, to start us off, our first topic for discussion is going to be the overall lack of success, I suppose, for the club in the competition. Lots of semi-finals, lots of finals, but just the 3 victories so far.
Yeah, so far, and fingers crossed that the lads can make it 4 on Sunday. But like Pats have I think this is the 75th year Pats have competed in the final, or sorry, in the FAI Cup, 75 years, and of those 75 years, we've only won it 3 times. Hopefully, getting the chance to win it a 4th time. So that success rate hasn't been brilliant when you consider, we're not England. We're not like the FA Cup in England. The FAI Cup, there's probably only 6, 7, 8 teams who are really in with a chance of winning it every year. And Pats have been very successful, as we know, in the league and in a general sense. But just that FAI Cup success hasn't come easy for us. John Owens, who does the data in the programme and the stats, came up with a great stat that Pats have been in the semi-final 29 times. This is the 29th year that we were in the semi-final. But of those, we've only won 12 and we've lost 17. And in fact, 3 of the 12 have come in the last 4 semi-finals that we've been in that we've won. So the record was even worse than that. So it's not just the final, right? Everyone knows about the Pats voodoo, whatever for the final, and that we lost so many in a row. We have lost 8 finals, and now, as of the 2014 final, we've won 3. So look, our record in the competition is not brilliant, certainly in terms of getting to finals and even getting past semi-finals. And we're way behind our rivals when it comes to the FAI Cup. The Shamrock Rovers have won 25 of them. Now 10 of them were before Pats entered the league, but that's still 15 in the era that we've been competing in the Cup. Dundalk have won 12, Shells and Bows have won 7 each. So we've a bit of a way to catch up. And look, I think that the team are going to do us proud on Sunday. I've no doubt about that. But our record in the Cup hasn't been great. But I suppose that makes it extra special when we do particularly well. And only 2 clubs have lost more finals than us. So Rovers and Shells are the only 2 clubs who've lost more finals than us. So look, I think the 2014 final is a great start in terms of this new era of cup football for the Saints, and it's not been a brilliant happy hunting ground for us, but those wins have been particularly special when we have won it those 3 times, and hopefully a 4th to come.
Yeah, and don't worry, for those watching and listening, we are going to talk in a lot of detail about the big wins as well, and the finals. Donald mentioned 2014 as well, and not Donald, Dermot. I was talking to Donald Burke about something else earlier on, and I suppose, and we didn't really plan to talk about this, but you mentioned the semi-final against Dundalk just a couple of weeks ago as well, and the 3-1 victory, the goals, Dara Byrne's goal voted as goal of the season. Just the scenes afterwards, the crowd. We're going to have a video later this week made by Bernardo Santos of some of the best fan bits from across the season as well. And apart from your link to the club with History St. Pat's, as a supporter, just being there that day and having the place 5,000 packed, the result, the performance, the buzz leading into this, there's over 30,000 tickets sold for what we're talking now. And that just gave us a taste of what Richmond Park St. Pat's big cup nights are all about.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a very special night. And look, I'm following Pats 25 years. As people who listen to this who are following Pats 50 years plus, that will still rank up there as one of their top nights in the ground. To have come back, we were there when we were lucky enough to have 200 in the ground and 500 earlier in the season. But they've been there in a packed Richmond Park for an amazing Cup semi-final win. To have done it with such great goals and such great football, such youth in the team, it's really, really special. And there is a great connection and bond between players and supporters. And look, that's something that goes down historically in St. Pat's. It's so important right from our formation, is that special bond between the players and the supporters of the club. And look, every club will claim to have that. But I think it's particularly unique at Pat's. Firstly, it's a very much a family club. It's very much a community club. And then the physical layout of Richmond Park really ties that in. There is a closeness between players and supporters. And that night really felt it. We were right on top. And I think the players responded to the brilliant atmosphere that was there. I had a friend who brought his 11-year-old son to the game as his first ever Pats game, and he absolutely loved it. And now he's looking for Pats gear from Santa. They're going to the Cup final. Hopefully that kid becomes a Pats fan for life. And I'm sure there were dozens of others, if not hundreds of others, of young kids and teenagers in the ground that night who have now got the love and the addiction, I suppose, for St. Patrick's Athletic.
Yeah, it really was great to see so many young supporters as well. And sometimes, maybe a granddad or a grandmother, a father or son, and then their child there as well. And, Pats has always been described since I've been involved in the club since 2015 as a family club. And, families and families of people will be there on Sunday to support in their St. Pat's colours as well, which will be just lovely to see. And for you being in the stands, I'm unlucky enough, but lucky enough that when you're working for the club in the media side, you're at everything, but you don't get to see it as a fan. So just to be involved in that and around that as well will be special on Sunday, won't it?
Absolutely, and there will be people going on Sunday who've been to every single cup final that Pats have played in. So that's the 12 of them now from 1954 on. And you have to feel for those people who have lasted through some real heartbreak, but also some amazing special moments. So I think Marty Moran, who many people will know, and Betty, I think they've been to every cup final. I'm sure there are others. And hopefully those people can make it along on Sunday and witness a new piece of history being made.
Yeah, the finals that we lost, and we won't dwell on them too much, 54, 67, 74, 1980, 1996, 2003, 2006, and most recently in 2012 against Derry as well. Any interesting bits that stand out? We're not going to throw each one game for game, but anything interesting that stands out for those ones before we talk more happy times about the 3 victories?
Yeah, I think in fairness, all of them are interesting in themselves. I talked to you before on the podcast about the 1954 final, which was our first one against Drumcondra. And the club, instead of paying the players a bonus, as was the case at the time, the club put a bet on for the players. Each player stood to gain £500, which would have bought you a house in the final, but they were beaten, unfortunately, and there was an OG that lost it on that day. The good news, I think, that comes from that, or the kind of nice the nice conclusion to it, is the goalkeeper who the OG went in. It was his brother-in-law who scored, Desi Byrne. But the goalkeeper was Jimmy Collins. He went on to manage Pats in the 2 finals. We did win in 59 and 61. 1967 is an interesting one, Jamie, because the first ever televised FAI Cup final. So there was a lot of talk about RTE televising finals. The FAI weren't too keen on it because they felt it would affect the crowd, and it did. There was only 12,000, I think, at this. It was really low attendance for the time. One of the things that I find interesting in that is that the 2 people who were promoting it most in the FAI were the club officials from Shamrock Rovers and St. Pat's, and they led the teams out on the day. So it was Des Cunningham at Rovers and Bart Cummins at Pats. The club officials led the teams out into the ground into Dalymount Park that day. You normally see the managers do it in the FA Cup final in England, so it was club officials, and they took some stick for doing that. The players got 50 shillings TV appearance money that day, but unfortunately Pats were beaten 3-2 on the day. That was a difficult loss for them. And 1974, we had a great player manager, Jack Burkett. He'd won an FA Cup with West Ham. He'd won a European Cup Winners' Cup with West Ham, but he wasn't able to get Pats over the line in 74. And then 1980, which again, there will be people who are listening to this who were at the final, particularly in 1980. Charlie Walker was the manager at the time. And Pats wore green in that final, which I think people would be interested in terms of, we very rarely have worn green. We wore it as an away kit around 2003, but I think the only other time we've worn green was that cup final. We also had a sponsor, which was completely unique at the time. No other teams ever really had sponsors in those days. Venture was written across the players' chests. I think it was just a special deal for the final. So look, we had those bad times, and I was at, and certainly your even younger listeners may have been at the finals from 96 on. 96 was a killer because it went to a replay. We should have won the first game. But Chelsea got a man sent off, their goalkeeper sent off in that game. We couldn't seal the deal and we lost the replay. And the 2003, 2006 and 2012 were all unfortunate in their own ways, and particularly 06, which people was voted supposedly the best cup final ever. We were ahead 3 times and lost 4-3 after extra time. Look, there's been a lot of heartbreak, and it's only football. At the end of the day, it is only a game. But as fans, we were very, very disappointed and felt that pressure as much as sometimes as players did going into those games. But look, it makes it all the sweeter when things like 2014 happen, and it makes it all the sweeter when you can go and have that success and have those memories. So hopefully this is a final that's going to be like the ones we won in 59, 61 and 2014.
Yeah, that 2006 one as well, the last ever game at the old Lansdowne Road as well. And if you want some more on any of those games and all the games as well, at History St. Pat's on Twitter is where Dermot's at, and I'm sure he'll be tweeting to his heart's content this week with all cup final related stats. But we are going to focus on the 3 wins. The first of those was, well, I suppose the first 2 are both at Dalymount Park. First one went to a replay in 1959-60.
Yeah, 1958-59 it was.
Sorry, 58-59,
Yeah, because they used to obviously run it over the 2 years then, but we call it kind of the 1959 final. And there's a brilliant video. I think you may have heard the audio from it doing the rounds on YouTube, and I'll put it up on the History St. Pat's Twitter again. So this is one of the very few early pieces of footage we had, the FAI Cup final replay in 1959. So look, that was a Pats team that was managed, as I said, by Jimmy Collins, who had previously been the goalkeeper for the club. The goalkeeper at the time was Denny Lowry, the great Denny Lowry, who played in the finals in 59 and 61 and indeed in 67 as well. Denny Lowry had pretty much lost his place in the Pats team. He had signed for Pats earlier in the 50s. And people thought Denny was probably going to be past it. John Heavey had replaced him in goal, but John Heavey had a bizarre accident, seemingly out playing football on the street. This is a professional goalkeeper, certainly semi-professional goalkeeper. I think he was playing football on the street, hurt himself, and then he got the call after dinner one Sunday, as they used to call it, come back and play for Pats, and kept his place when he came back in. So he was part of those 2 cup winning teams. The 59 final and the 61 final were both captained by the great Tommy Dunn. Now, Tommy Dunn himself, his dad had played for Rovers. I think he'd been an Irish international, Jimmy Dunn. And Tommy was a mascot in the final in 1940 and was part of that match day. And then to go on and lift the cup as captain in 59 and 61. One of only 2 people to lift the cup for St. Pat's as captain. His brother Jimmy also played in that 59 final. And there were 22,000 people at both the games, both the first game and the replay, and Pats went on, to a great success. And I think that was really heavily celebrated in Inchicore. It was really still part of that golden era when Pats had joined the league.
Yeah, the audio, if you've heard it, is brilliant. But if you can watch the video, it's even better. Even the style of commentary and just everything about it is really, really brilliant, and a nice thing I think for maybe some younger supporters. I would, include myself in that to watch. And maybe for some of the players and for Stephen and Alan just to watch it back, it's a real unique, great watch. And that was the first of success. That the second came quite quickly, just a couple of years later at the same venue.
Yeah, that's right. So playing against Drumcondra, who had beaten us in 54. So it's a little bit of a revenge story. And Drumcondra were actually 1-0 up, and then Pat scored a very bizarre goal. I've written about it in the programme this year. It was Johnny White just floated in the ball from the halfway line, and the Drumcondra keeper just, took his eye off the ball, lost sight of it, just tuned off, and it just floated in over his head into the net. And Willie Payton, who had scored the winner in 59, also scored a winner in 61 to win it 2-1 for Pats. And again, a good crowd at Dalymount at the time, 22,000. And the fans who were there on that day, I'm sure they couldn't believe that it would be 53 years more before Pats would win it again. But there were a small select few who were at those 2 finals and who were there in 2014 as well.
So 2014, and the footage, which again we'll play a snippet of in a moment, of the end of the match and the Christy Fagan second goal in the 94th minute. But that final and the fact that St. Pat's had lost to Derry in the 2012 decider, which would have ended a 51-year wait, it became 53 years. And I remember I wasn't with St. Pat's at the time. I was working in the media and covered the media day and covered the match, and the build up and the excitement, but also I think the pressure on the St. Pat's lads at the time to end that wait and stuff, I think was very plain to see. What comes to mind from your own thoughts on that final, the game, the victory, and the 53-year wait eventually ending?
Yeah, I think you're right when you say the pressure was immense going into that final. And look, players aren't always aware of the history, and I think Killian Brennan playing that final didn't know until he was in the dressing room that there'd been a 53-year wait for the cup, and so many defeats, and the hoodoo being on the club. But I think some of the players certainly felt it in those finals, and particularly in the finals from the 2000s on, when this was talked about an awful lot. Our own memories are, again, as fans, are of relief and of joy and of pride, because we were very proud of that team. They had won the league for us the previous year, and they went on to win that cup in 2014. And look, Christy Fagan goes down in Pat's history as an absolute legend for lots of reasons. He was brilliant the previous season. He was brilliant after that, in fact. But the 2014 final, we will always remember him and his work for that. But we'd had a superb team in 2014. I think we were a little bit underachieving in the league in 2014. In terms of the players we had, particularly the midfield and the attacking strength we had that season. So we were able to win something. I think if you ask some Pats fans, including myself, we would almost prefer to have won the cup. It sounds crazy. It doesn't make sense. And people in other leagues and other countries, or even of other clubs in Ireland, wouldn't get this, that to win the cup was possibly more special as a fan than winning the league. I'm sure as a player it means more to win the league, of course. But the cup is massive in Ireland. It's still a huge, huge thing. You can see with the crowd that look like they're going to be coming on Sunday. Our cup hasn't gone out of fashion in the way that the FA Cup has in England. It is still a massive day, a massive occasion. And look, it is for the players and for their families and for the management, but it's also a massive occasion for the fans. And historically always has been. You know, that cup final day is a big day out for your family and with your friends and so on, and the activities that go on around it. So this is great to get there, and well done to Stevie and the boys for getting this far. But I've no doubt that they're going to achieve well on Sunday. And that pressure is off them, right? So no one's really talking about 7 years since the last final. No one really cares about that. So there isn't that weight of history upon them. But as Liam Buckley used to say, you know, we make our own history. This team already, by coming second this season, playing some brilliant football, has made its own history. That's a brilliant achievement for the club to finish second, to come from where we had been. And I think they can go on and make a bit more history of their own this Sunday.